You ever heard of that saying, life is what you make it? It quite literally is. Life is exactly what you make it. What you focus on grows. Where focus goes, energy flows. So it's really, really, really important that you become very aware and conscious in respects to what you're focusing on. Typically, the majority, not everyone, but the majority of people are living unconsciously based on their subconscious programming, based on unconscious programming from their parents and teachers and all of that stuff growing up. It's not their fault. There's no judgment when I say this. It just is what it is, right? Your brain is a supercomputer. And maybe you've heard before that we're only using 10% of our brain, which is true. That's the conscious mind, right? But our life is governed by our subconscious mind. So first and foremost, it's really, really, really important that we are aware of the way that our conscious mind is thinking. And typically, our conscious mind is very negative when we're first starting this journey. The majority of people are bitching, moaning, complaining, angry, sad, depressed, criticizing, all of that shit, right? And again, no judgment. Everything I say is no judgment. It's coming from most of the time my own experience, because I came from the shit. I came from my rock bottom. I was depressed and I was anxious, judgmental, toxic, unhealthy, all of the things. And I personally switched it because I didn't want to live a shit life anymore. So I took full ownership and accountability of the way in which I was choosing to be and the things that I was choosing to do. And that first started with my thoughts, right? And a really easy switch for me when I first started my journey was really focusing on gratitude, right? Now, typically, when we're moving through life unaware and unconscious of the power that we have in the creation of our life, we're typically focusing on the things that we don't want, the things that we don't like, the things that are just the things that make us feel bad, right? Because we are addicted. We're addicted to that feeling. Our body has become addicted to that chemical reaction that these thought patterns create. So it's really important that we're aware of that and that we're compassionate with ourselves and that we are aware that it takes time. This is a marathon, this is not a race, and it takes love and it takes compassion towards ourselves when it comes to rewiring the pathways in our brain. And that's the beautiful thing about our brain. We can rewire it whenever we want. And it's malleable in that sense when we are conscious and when we are aware and when we shift and change things on the spot, when we notice that we're thinking thoughts that aren't great. And also laughing to ourselves as well. Laughing and play is very important because we cannot shame and guilt ourselves into change. We cannot shame and guilt ourselves into growth, into evolution, into ascension. No, we get to love ourselves. We get to be compassionate. We get to be kind. And we get to laugh at ourselves as well because we take ourselves too seriously. This work is serious. Yes, it's very serious, but we don't need to take ourselves too seriously, and we can laugh at ourselves because we're just human. We've got this human condition as a soul having a human experience. We are a limitless soul. We're never really going to die in the grand scheme of things. This is just a game, a human experience game. And we're literally fighting with the elements. First and foremost, we're fighting with our ego and learning how to befriend our ego and learning how to control our ego. And then after that, it's really learning, like when we're unconscious, we're fighting with the laws of the universe and all of that stuff. And then when we become conscious, we get to play with it. We get to play with it. And it started for me of learning about the laws of the universe. And it started really small, just a little smile to people down the street and being really genuine with it as well, and smiling at people and sending them positive energy. And I noticed that I was getting it back, and it started very small, and then it started to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and magic and magic and magic. And it proved to me that, oh wow, this shit works, right? This is amazing. And I go into the laws of the universe in more detail within my membership. I go into a lot of what I speak about on my channel and on my socials deeper in my membership with guidance and mentorship to really support you come back to the power and the trust within yourself. So if you desire to explore that, the link will be below in the bio. But essentially you get what you focus on, right? So if you're noticing that your life is shit, if you're noticing that your life is not the way that you desire it to be, if you're noticing that, you know, it's just not what you thought or felt or whatever, it's just no. Have a look at what you're focusing on. Be very honest with yourself. Are your thoughts good feeling thoughts, or are they bad feeling thoughts? Because when you focus on the good expands. When you focus on the magic expands. When you focus on how miraculous life is, life becomes more miraculous. But when you focus on the things that you don't want, the things that you don't like, when you focus on the shit, when you focus on how unhappy you are, it expands as well. You get more of that. This is how powerful you are. And when I found out this information, I'd not long gotten out of an emotionally abusive, toxic relationship. He left me in 32 grand's worth of debt. It was an absolute shit show. I was in an absolute shit show. He stole my engagement ring that was 5 grand that I easily could have put towards the debt. And it was just a shit show. I was just in such a bad place. And then when I found out this information, that my external reality was simply a reflection of my internal reality, and a lot of it was based on my thinking and what I was focusing on and my feeling and all of that stuff, I zoomed out, just objectively, with no judgment. I zoomed out at my whole situation, at the whole relationship, and I saw how I created all of that. First and foremost, I was working in the banking industry and studying to be an accountant. So me getting in 32 grand's worth of debt for 2 people, naively thinking that we'd be together forever in the situation that we were in, that was just a silly choice anyway. So I took full ownership of that. It's just like, okay, whatever. Money's just money. Money can always be made back. That's okay. I'll sort that out. It's fine. And then when I zoomed out and looked at the way that he treated me, his lies, his deceit, and the toxicity and the emotional abuse and the control and all of that stuff, or the underlying control from the emotional abuse. I didn't let him tell me what to do, because no, you're not going to tell me what to do in any part of my life. That's just not the way. I zoomed out and I saw, with our interactions and with the way that I was communicating to him, when I was sharing with him how I felt, I was saying, you do this, you do that, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't want you to do this, I don't want you to do that. And of course, because I was focusing on what I didn't like and what I didn't want and how shit he was just getting worse and worse and worse. So when I found this out, I just laughed at myself like, wow, Mel, you created all of that. And bless your heart, you didn't even know, because you didn't know this information. So how could you know? You were just doing the best that you could with the tools that you had. And then when I learned this information that I'm sharing with you today, I became so committed to shifting things, because I did not want to stay in the shit. I did not want to feel like shit. I did not want to be depressed or anxious or unhappy or angry or broke or struggling. I didn't want any of that. And I know that you don't either. So where is your focus going? What are you putting your energy towards? What are you putting your attention towards? Is it towards things that you like? Things that inspire you? Things that you desire? Things that you want? your growth, your evolution, your ascension. Because if it's not, then you get to change things, you get to shift things. The only person that's going to change things is you, no one else. This life that you see me living today, this is my dream freedom life. I've been living this for 5 years. 5 years, because I changed my focus. And I started to look at myself in the mirror. And I started to take full ownership and accountability for the part that I was playing in my experience. Because my reality is my reality. Just like your reality is your reality. Every single person's reality is different, depending on their focus. So I became relentless. And I started, like I said, at my rock bottom. I lived in a flat, tiny, dinky little flat on social housing. I love that flat. It was great. I'm so grateful for that flat. It was really beautiful. It was the first place that I lived in on my own. But it was tiny. And I got a huge discount from the government because my income was so low. I worked for a bank, corporate banking, a measly 30 grand a year salary with a 1.5% pay rise every year and a £1,500 bonus every year, which to me now is laughable that I even allowed that, because I'm worth so much more and so are you. And now I make over 2 grand in one sale on automation using leverage and systems, which of course you can too. And I share with you just how in the online business intro video. I'll put the link below in the bio as well. And it's laughable at what I used to accept in my life as to what I was worth. And I literally settled. I wanted to settle. I was going to settle for a man that lied to me, that treated me like shit, that allowed me to pay for everything because he was too fucking lazy to do it himself. And he wanted to marry someone to mother him. I was going to settle for that. And so many people do. And you know why? Because I didn't love myself enough. And that's why so many people settle for a lot less than what they deserve. Because they do not love themselves. And I will fucking say it how it is. I do care. I do care, and this is why I say it how it is. And yes, sometimes a lot of the time it triggers people. But that's the medicine. When we get triggered, it's medicine. When we choose to look at it objectively in the mirror, okay, well, why is this triggering me? Where is this coming from? Because it's not coming from her, it's not coming from them, it's coming from somewhere inside of me that gets to be alchemized and transmuted. And I go into this a lot deeper within the membership. There's so much in there, continually expanding. And I could talk for hours, but I'm going to finish this now. You get what you focus on. So what are you focusing on, warrior? Are you focusing on what you want? Are you focusing on where you're going? Are you focusing on what you're creating? Are you focusing on the type of relationship that you desire? Are you focusing on how you desire to feel? What are you focusing on? Because what you focus on grows. And don't forget to play. Play and sing and laugh and dance. Because this life is a miracle. And you are a miracle. I love you. I'll see you on the next video.